a temple filled with glory, a river of life flowing into death, and a city named by his presence. It was a promise that their story would not end in ruins. And this vision is not just for them, it stretches all the way to us. Because centuries later, the Apostle John would echo these same images in the book of Revelation. He too saw a new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven. He too saw a river of life, clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb. He too saw trees whose leaves brought healing to the nations. And he too declared that the ultimate promise is not streets of gold or gates of pearl. It is this: now the dwelling of God is with men, and he will live with them. Ezekiel's vision points us forward to eternity, when God will wipe away every tear, when death will be no more, when exile will be over forever. It is the picture of restoration beyond judgment, hope beyond despair, life beyond death. And even now that river flows. Jesus himself spoke of it when he said, "Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them." The Spirit of God is that river, bringing life to dry hearts, hope to weary souls, and healing to broken lives. What Ezekiel saw in vision, we taste in reality through the Spirit who lives in us. But the fullness is still coming. The city named "The Lord is there" is the final destination of every believer. That is the hope that carried Israel through exile, that carried the church through persecution, that carries us through every valley of bones and every battle with Gog and Magog. So hear this: your story is not finished with ruins. It is not finished with loss. It is not finished with despair. If you belong to the true shepherd, if you trust the God who raises bones to life, then your story ends with his presence, his river, his city. Ezekiel's final vision reminds us of what really matters, not the buildings we construct, not the nations we trust, not the wealth we gather. The only thing that makes life whole is this: the Lord is there. That is the hope beyond exile. That is the promise beyond judgment. That is the destination where every story in Scripture is pointing. And now, after all the warnings, all the strange signs, all the visions of judgment and fire, Ezekiel's book closes not with despair, but with glory. A city, a temple, a river, a name. The Lord is there, but Ezekiel's visions are not just ancient promises. They are a call to believe that the same God who filled the temple with glory can fill your life, that the same river flowing from his throne can flow into your heart, that the same city waiting in the future can be your home. The exile is over, the glory has returned, and the final word is not death, it is life. The river that flowed from Ezekiel's vision carried us to the end of his prophecy, but the story doesn't end there. As the water rushed out into the land, cleansing everything in its path, the prophet looked forward to something greater than walls, altars, or rivers. He looked to a God who would once again dwell among his people, not in a building made of stone, but in the hearts of those who believed. And that is where the book of Ezekiel still speaks to us today. It is the story of judgment, because sin destroys. It is the story of exile, because rebellion carries us far from God. But it is also the story of restoration, because the Lord is too faithful to leave his people in ruins. Ezekiel saw the holy fire of God consume, but he also saw the breath of God raise dry bones back to life. He saw the temple torn down, but he also saw a new temple rise. He saw a city abandoned, but he also heard a name: the Lord is there. This book is not just history, it is a mirror. The exiles by the rivers of Babylon are not so different from us. We too live in lands filled with idols, idols of money, of fame, of comfort, of self. We too feel the ache of exile when life crumbles, when sin enslaves, when hope feels far. And yet, the same God who spoke through Ezekiel speaks to you now. He says, "Turn, live. I will give you a new heart, and I will put my spirit within you."